And welcome back to What If, and we are continuing from last week's What If. What if Ash was from a different region? What if his adventure started in a different region? What if he just came from? And I'm not going to go into like, all right, he did Canton, I was going to the Origins. No, we're not doing that. We're just going to basically stick to the region. And to preface it, like I'm going to probably do with every video, I'm combining anime episodes with basically just the nature of the games, but I'm not changing who Ash is. Now, it should also be noted that because of where he is, he's not going to really have Misty or Brock there. So where we last left off, Ash had basically chosen Totodile as his starter Pokemon. He has a Furret currently in his group, a shiny Hoot, which will turn into his shiny Noctowl, and the Cyndaquil that he actually ended up catching. So, as it stands, he just beat Bugsy and is now heading over to Goldenrod City. Now, along the way, I think he's going to meet up with Lyra, and she'll have her Chikorita, which will be evolved into a Bayleaf. His Totodile's also a Crocodile at this point. Bayleaf, she will have a Ladian. I believe she's actually going to end up catching the Totodile that ends up that's between Misty and Ash. In those episodes, I believe she's actually going to get that Totodile. And I actually would say that Ethan would get the Chikorita. Ethan will also have a Houndour on his team, and what was the other one? And a Ghastly on his team. Where she has a Lydian, the Bayleaf, Totodile, and I can't remember what was the other one I said she would have on her team. I don't have the list of book in front of me at the moment. Point being, Ash is going to go, and he'll have a couple run-ins with Team Rocket. He's going to be dealing with a little bit of the whole Celebi thing in the forest. Nothing serious. Gonna learn to cut attack from Farfetch. And then he's gonna get to Goldenrod. Now, after dealing with Team Rocket initially, he's gonna go up against Whitney and her Miltank. Now, it's gonna be a 2-on-2 battle like it was in the anime. And he's obviously gonna go with his strongest Pokemon there, which at this point will have evolved into Noctowl. He will more than likely go with probably Crocodile and Hoot. He's going to do Hoot and probably send Hoot in first. Or Noctowl, actually. It's Noctowl now. Noctowl. He's going to send Noctowl in first. Use its aerodynamics basically to keep out of the realm of Clefairy. And I think eventually take the win to Clefairy. However, I do think he's initially going to lose the fight with Miltank. And I say that because Miltank is able to get air in the anime, as you see, with and Rollout is also a rock attack. It's not a ground attack. Is able to get a lift, so Hoot's ability to fly, or I keep saying Hoot, Noctowl's ability to fly is not going to be able to protect Noctowl. And then sending out Crocodile. Crocodile will put up an okay fight. But as long as Miltank's got that roll going, it's not going to be able to really beat Miltank at all. So Ash is going to lose the initial fight. Lyra and Ethan meet up with him. Ethan goes to try to fight Whitney. Ethan goes and gets his butt kicked. Lyra, I'm not necessarily certain that Lyra is going to want to be a gym leader. I don't know for certain. I can't say that for certain, but gym leader. Go compete. Maybe she will. Let's say she will. Let's say she actually goes up before Ethan gets there and also loses. So let's say that happens. So they're going to end up trading for a good long while with each other. I would say, and along the way, let's say Ash ends up catching an Eevee, he gets an Eevee from the Goldenrod City. And you know what? Just for the sake of sakes, we're gonna say that Lyra can get a Dratini, just to screw with Ethan, just to screw with his main rival. She gets Dratini, and he gets an Abra, let's say. So they're gonna be training for a while. Him and Eevee are gonna be training, getting to know each other. They're gonna be at the whole game casino thing, which is for some reason fine for kids, and they're basically they're gonna get enough. Ash is gonna win enough to teach a couple of his Pokemon a couple TMs. I imagine that Eevee will. I would imagine he's going to teach Eevee Shadow Ball, because Shadow Ball is one that I'll often teach my Eevees when I play the game, because it's a pretty powerful attack and it's easy to learn. I'm going to say 3 TMs altogether. Crocodile is going to teach Blizzard. I think he's going to teach Crocodile Blizzard. I think that's going to be a big one. As for Cyndaquil is still the only one that hasn't evolved at the moment, and so to compensate for the fact that even though he's powerful, he's also arguably the weakest one on the team. I imagine, but then again, you might say Furret needs something too. In fact, I'd say Furret would probably actually get one over Cyndaquil. And I think he's going to teach Furret Hyper Beam, being a normal type of Pokemon. It's pretty common for most normal type Pokemon when you want to beef them up to learn Hyper Beam. So teach them Hyper Beam. Lyra likewise will teach like Solar Beam to Bailey, things along those lines. So the next round comes along, and Whitney says, like, I'll even give you a leeway, and you can use 3 to my 2. It's like, and Ash is like, are you sure about that? It's like, yeah, come on. And then he's like, all right then. So he sends out his first Pokemon. I do believe it's going to be Furret is going to be the first Pokemon this time around. So Furret is going to go in, send in Clefairy. Furret ends up winning again against Clefairy. So I do believe that's what happens there. Then Miltank comes. Miltank pretty much rams through for its Hyper Beam, because despite the fact it knows Hyper Beam, which is a very powerful attack, it's still got its attack right. It's still Furret, who is an evolved Pokemon, sure, but is comparatively not. It's like his first probably in his late teens, early 20s in terms of its power level. So really, it's not the strongest Pokemon in the world at the moment. So Furret's going to be taken out. Then Ash is going to probably decide between his next 2 Pokemon, and I imagine he's going to go with Cyndaquil. It's because he wants to save his Ace in the Hole for last. So Cyndaquil goes and Flamethrower, all that. Again, it singes Miltank a little bit, but overall he's still Miltank still wins. Sends in Croconaut, and that's when Ash takes the win in that. Most likely what's going to happen is he's going to blow Fire Blizzard. It's going to freeze Miltank in place, and then Croconaut is basically just going to come in and give the finisher. Likewise, Lyra will probably come in with use some sort of combination again and win. We're going to leave Ethan in the dust for right now. Ethan's going to be like, I'm going to get you, Dwayne. He's like, yep, have fun with that. So now they're traveling again. And really, nothing significant's going to happen. I'll even give Lyra the Pseudo-Udo catch. I think that's going to happen. I do believe Quilava evolves between Goldenrod and Ecruteak City, though. So Quilava's now on Ash's team. He's got his Eevee. They reach Ecruteak City. They deal with the whole Eevee troop, and what I personally think is what's going to happen is once we get to Ecruteak City's gym, once we get to the gym leader there, that fight's going to come in. It's going to be I think it was a 3-on-3 or a 4-on-4 fight. I think it was a 3-on-3. One Gengar, a Haunter, and the tough Gengar, the final Gengar. Though I believe Mischievous is located in some of the games, or in some of the was it in the anime? I want to say it was in the anime. Anyway, sorry, commercials got me distracted. So Ash is going to take it now with Lyra there, and I think Lyra would honestly be a better companion than say like Misty initially was, because Misty tried to help, was really bitchy about it. I think Lyra, having grown the area with him, would definitely aid him more and kind of help him with ghost type attacks. It basically say ghost types are weak to psychic type attacks, other ghost attacks, and they're weak against dark attacks, as well as have an immunity to normal attacks. But they're also normal types also have an immunity to ghost attacks. So, and that gives Ash the know how to basically say, okay, so I basically have my Noctowl, who knows Confusion. I have Croconaut, who's my strongest, but I also have 2 normal types that can really help me in this fight. But no one of them doesn't know any attacks that would be able to help me in this. So his roster, honestly, I think is going to be Noctowl, Eevee, and Croconaut. Now, when he sends it out, he's going to send probably Noctowl out first. Noctowl, and that's going to go kind of how the fights did initially in the actual anime where he's Noctowl is using foresight and things along those lines, and takes out the first Pokemon. Gengar and him go Duke or takes out the first Gengar. Then Haunter comes and Shadow Punch off that basically takes out Noctowl. Then it sends out Eevee, and that's gonna be a little tricky for him. It's like, oh, it's Eevee. I was like, I can't touch that Eevee, but he still got his like curse, takes out half his life. Eevee fires a Shadow Ball, knocks out that Haunter. However, he's dealing with the curse. So Memeluke's not going to do anything. So Ash returns Eevee and sends Crocodile out. Now Crocodile and Gengar are going to go at it, and I actually think Crocodile loses the fight. He's got him down pretty low, but I think Crocodile's going to lose the fight. And then he sends Eevee out, and Eevee's going to struggle, but because there's going to be a lot of time space between now and then. I think this is where Eevee evolves into an Espeon. The fight's going to happen during the day. I think Ash basically gets an Espeon and uses Confusion that initially learns and completely whoops Gengar. And then Lyra will eventually go on to win. Then they go to the tower. The legendary dogs are there. And then they go off and they... excuse me, I got an itch on my back. Itch on my back. There we go. They go and they have nothing really happens. There's the milk tank, the milk tank farm incident and all that. They reach the city, nothing major. They're gonna go all the way to Claywood was it Cinnawood? No, Cinnawood. And first before they go into Olivine City, we're gonna end this episode on Olivine City. So they go and they help get the medicine, but first they fight Clay. Again, I want to say it'll be 2-on-2. At this point, Crocodile's probably evolved into Feraligatr. Really, the only guy on the left on his team that hasn't evolved yet would probably be Furret. Not Furret. Sorry, Furret. It would be Quilava. I think Quilava would still be a Quilava at this point, but he does have Feraligatr at this point. So with that, I mean, him and Clay go duke it out, and I'm trying to think who he would pick for that fight, because I'm sure Clay, if I remember correctly, Clay brags about being a fighting type gym leader. So Ash has a couple types on his team. He's got Noctowl, and he's got a psychic type Pokemon that could easily kind of just trounce Clay. So I think he'd try to go Espeon, and he would go Feraligatr for the muscle of it. Espeon would definitely take out his Machoke. Was it a Machoke? Yeah, it was a Machoke. It would definitely take his Machoke out with no issue. But it's when Poliwrath comes into play that, because Poliwrath's a dual type water fighting, not just a solid fighting type, that it probably, I can't remember if it actually knew attacks that would that could actually hurt a psychic type, but it definitely was no pushover. I remember, particularly because when Gen 2 was released, that's when they released that Dynamic Punch TM. It's like, oh god, when that thing hit hard. You remember back in the days with old Gold and Silver. But Ash does make the win, so they wait a little while. Actually, I imagine that what would happen was, because Ash initially wins, they go and she says, go ahead, I'm going to stay here and beat Clay. So that's what happens. And eventually she does beat Clay and gets a ride over there to Olivine City. Before she gets to Olivine City, though, Ash gets the medicine to them, the Ampharos, and then they have their fight, which I believe was two Magnemite, a Magneton, and Steelix. I believe that's who it was. Let's just assume that, and let's make it a 3-on-3 fight. Ash will definitely be using Quilava. It's fire against steel, so that's a given. After that, he's in a little bit of a problem there, because Noctowl would be a terrible match against that. For it, not good because of normal typing. Just doesn't have any attacks that would really hurt at this point, as far as I could think of. There's attacks it can learn, certainly, but at this point, no. Feraligatr, obviously, and probably, again, Espeon at this point. So, Espeon, and I think he would I think he'd probably send out Espeon first as the headliner. Probably take out the initial Magnemite. The Magneton would probably just take out Espeon at that point. Then he actually sends out Feraligatr, who it would be a little. She'd be like, why would you do that? Like before, as Magneton can actually electrify for Alligator. He freezes him with Blizzard, and then just knocks him out. Let's say with with a Dynamic Punch, for instance, that he learns from. Actually, it's Focus Blast in this one, but it was Dynamic Punch initially. Just Dynamic Punch and just boom, and just knocks out Magneton. Then it's for Alligator versus Steelix, and that would be a pretty nice fight. Sandstorm gets up, he counters with Blizzard, freezes the stand, then comes in, uses, I don't know what water attack he'd probably have at that point. Actually, I think you learn Surf at that point. So yeah, he could teach for Alligator Surf. So he uses Surf and just washes over Steelix, which Steel's not actually weak to water, but it does take, I think it takes neutral damage. Like it takes regular damage. It's not actually weak, but water types are not a bad option against steel types. So washes over it, and then he comes in and tries to land Dynamic Punch, but that one doesn't work. So then Steelix comes and just wails on him, and Alligator goes down. Steelix is injured at this point, though, so now he sends out Quilava, and then Quilava comes, does a Flame Wheel, hits him, and Steelix comes, does like Rock Throw, hits him. It ends, I think, just because also Quilava evolved at the lowest level of the three of them. I believe it was it was evolved at the highest level of the three of them, actually. Because Quilava evolves at the lowest level of 14, whereas Quilava evolved from Cyndaquil at level 14, whereas Quilava evolves at level 36. The other two, the game evolves at level 32, for Alligator at level 30. But I do think that he becomes Typhlosion, and Jin just uses, was it Lava Plume? Uses Lava Plume, let's say, and then just erects the field and defeats Steelix. And that's where we're going to leave off. Lyra comes, she'll eventually somehow win, and they'll be on their way. They'll run into Ethan along the way. It's like, hey, Ethan, hi. Obviously no. Anyway, so that's my thoughts on part 2 of What If Ash Was From a Different Region, the Johto Edition. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. We'll probably, seeing as we've hit Gym 6, we've got 2 gyms left, plus a Team Rocket fiasco. We'll probably be finishing this up in part 3. If nothing more, then or nothing less, we'll finish it up in part 4, certainly. But I think we'll be able to get it in part 3. Anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.